Hello and a very warm welcome back to my little silken crevice of the internet doing sensible car video reviews. Next to me is the rhymingest car I've ever filmed on the channel. It's the Mercedes AMG GLE 63 SE, sort of. I want to know if this is more than just a stupidly fast family chariot and whether it's actually any good to drive and whether you should buy one even if you can pass a urine test. Anyway, let's go. No, it's not broken down, I just wanted to show you the engine. But anyway, a normal GLE will cost you £65,500 here in the UK. This one, you can basically double that. This is £119,000. This one has £900 paint, and that is the only option on this. You don't really need to go mad with the options list, because it's the very top spec one. Now, 120 grand does get you an absurdly fast car, thanks to a 4-litre V8 engine, which has got 612 horsepower and 22 horsepower of mild hybridness from an integrated starter generator. That's right, this is a mild hybrid. Normally doesn't really do anything, but this does add 250 newton meters of torque and helps get the 0 to 62 sprint to 3.8 seconds. Does, however, weigh 2.3 tons and it will get 22.8 mpg, but there we go, look, an AMG engine always carries a signature. In this case it was made by Mark Stutz. Thank you, Mark, with a little C. And look, some carbon fiberiness along the bottom there as well to help save weight, LOL. But yeah, it is an absolutely massive car. It's over 5 meters long, it's 2.3 tons as I've said, and well, frankly, just look at it, it's on 22-inch wheels, it's majestic, it's white, it's got matrix LED headlights or whatever Mercedes calls them, it says in there somewhere. Multi-beam LED, there we go. Massive grille, it's basically the most imposing thing I've ever seen this side of a McLaren Senna, but obviously this is a slightly different thing. It sits on air suspension, it's got carbon composite brakes. The 22-inch wheels almost look like a normal size because the car is just so damn big, they fill the arches really quite well. If I step back and back and back and back, there you go, you can see it looks like a 7-seater SUV because that's what the GLE is, but because this is the fast one, you can actually only get it with 5 seats. If you get the GLE 53, you can get 7 seats, and that's 34 grand cheaper, but does 0 to 60 in 5 seconds or something pathetic like that. Let me just check my notes. Yes, it does sit on air suspension. It's got carbon composite brakes. Talked about that aluminium side skirts down there, which do light up in the dark, which is very, I'm going to try not to say drug dealer, but they look really cool. There's a filler flap. There we go. It can, if you want to, you can tow stuff with it. It's £1,150 for the towing eye and the towing pack, and then you can tow 3.5 tons. So it's actually a really, really useful tow car, this, as well as doing 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. It's ridiculous. I think we only get the S model in the UK. I don't think we get a GLE 63 non-S. The boot is absolutely massive, 620 litres, look at that. And if you put the rear seats down, it's 2,055 litres, which is basically a van. There we go, you can see inside now. You've got a little button here, because it's on air suspension. You can drop the whole back end 40mm, which is not insignificant, to help your elderly dogs and the like get up. You've got a little light there. Under the floor, there's a massive space actually. I wasn't expecting that. You can tell I've not done my research. There's an absolutely massive space under there, although there is no button to flip the rear seats down, which does feel a little bit out of touch and a little bit old-fashioned, but otherwise, I mean, it looks the dog's danglies, doesn't it? In a very aggressive sort of way. Quad pipes, I don't know if we can zoom up there, you can see that is just an exhaust finisher. That is a bit cheeky, I can see daylight through there. But you know, no one actually makes weird shaped exhausts these days. It's just not profitable to do that. Right, let's look at the back seats. As I said, this is only a 5-seater, but look at the amount of legroom your back passengers have got there. This, I can't wait to stick the child seats in this, frankly. It's going to be ridiculous. My kids aren't going to know what's hit them, especially when I accelerate. They've got a little screen down here for adjusting the air vents and the like. But I'll jump in and show you what a 6'3" idiot looks like in the back. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I've got absolutely acres of room in here. The sky is the limit for headroom, and I've got loads of elbow room. Don't feel claustrophobic. My feet down there are nowhere near the driver's seat, but they do fit under it. And yeah, this has a full-length panoramic sunroof in it. as standard as well, which is just, you know, you get everything with this, and you kind of hope so for £120,000, wouldn't you? But yeah, if you want your passengers to feel like they're kings or queens or little princes and princesses, this is a hell of a way to travel. But anyway, let's look up front because there's carbon fibre and stuff up there. Yeah, up there it is classic sporty Mercedes. You've got a quite small, actually, flat bottom steering wheel, 3 spokes, and you get these virtual buttons on it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, the reflection. I'll have to do a cutaway of it. Oh no, there you go. Just about see it. So these things, so if I press that, the exhaust goes loud and quiet. But if you press the screen, it changes what this button does. So I can change the ride height, I can change the dynamics, I can have this as a traction control button. You can customize all of these buttons just by touching them. And it's one of the simplest and best, really, systems for changing stuff like that on the fly. This one you twist to go between your driving modes, Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, and Individual, and then there's some terrain ones, because obviously this is going to be decent off-road as well. It's got a proper four-wheel drive system. Or you can just press that and go straight to your Individual mode. Yeah, really nice steering wheel to hold. It's got what's called microfiber on the outer bits where you hold it. It's a bit like Alcantara, but it's had a haircut. You've got carbon fibre, you've got the Burmester stereo, which sounds amazing, as you'd imagine. You've got a big digital driver's display, which you can use this little black touchpad to swipe through the menus on there. Initially, it is quite intimidating, quite distracting on the move. Mercedes systems, there's so many menus you can access while driving. You need to be a bit careful and get used to it before you use it. But yeah, there's the screen there, which is controlled by that left-hand black touchpad on the wheel. And you can see I've been getting 9 miles per gallon. I've only just driven a couple of miles to film this. Lots of air vents, carbon fibre, heated and cooled front seats, and 64 colour ambient lighting, which extends to the back as well as, don't know if you can see, under the Oh Jesus handles. I think this is the first car I've been in with illuminated Oh Jesus slow down handles. And you've got buttons for exhaust, noisiness, suspension, and everything if you don't want to use the steering wheel to adjust them. And then all your shortcut buttons for media control, and you've got a touchpad thing, which actually does work quite well. And you've got aircon shortcuts as well and everything there. And there's the start button. So yeah, it is phenomenal in here, frankly. Really, really lovely. I love a Mercedes interior at the moment. They're a little intimidating, as I said at first, just because there are so many options on the steering wheel, but once you get used to it, you use a couple of those buttons and you get the hang of it really quite quickly. The screens are super sharp and lovely. The only real downsides to the cabin are that it doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay, or I don't think Android Auto. And there's lots of rankling on the internet about how Mercedes promised MBUX, which is their fancy name for this infotainment system, would have wireless CarPlay, but it certainly has not transpired on this, and from memory, not other previous Mercedeses I've driven. There's a USB-C port down there and a wireless charger, I should point out. I always feel like a wireless charger needs to go hand in hand with wireless smartphone mirroring. Boo. Hello, future Tim here. I missed out some bits from infotainment I just wanted to show you. So this car has lots and lots of comfort options, loads of different types of massage, wave. I like an active workout backrest, who doesn't? And you can do that for both of the front seats, and you can adjust all sorts of things on here, side bolsters, which bits of the seat get hot, the ambient lighting, there's a coach to help you get more energized or something. It all sounds a little bit nonsensical, but yeah, and you can have this screen. And I think there's a scent thing in the glove box as well. But what is interesting is AMG's Track Pace. This will record your lap times around various tracks in the world, and you can search for tracks. So I can type in, well, I can do B and find Brands Hatch, but there you go, I can say Nürburgring GP, and you can link this to an app on your phone and record your telematics while doing laps in your 2.5 ton SUV. At the moment, because I haven't got the app installed, I can just navigate to the circuit and start lap times and that kind of stuff. What's also included in this, which I will try, is the drag race thing, which measures your 0 to 60 time. You can also bring up telemetry, which is hilarious because you can choose what these graphs display. I've set this to show slip angle. I've never got that above 0. Try as I might, I think I've turned all the systems off to get this to skid around a bit. If this was a Cayenne Turbo GT, that would be like at 10 degrees basically every time you accelerate. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that. Anyway, back to Tim. Anyway, that's enough whittering on from me about the inside of the Mercedes AMG GLE 63 SE. It's not an SE, it's just an S. Yes, let's go for a drive and see what it's like. Spoiler, I'm going to film the driving bit in a few days' time because I want some real quality time with this car before I make a judgment. And also I've got to go and pick my kids up from nursery, it's getting late. So yeah, YouTube live. See you in a bit. Right, we're going to do the driving bit now. I'm giving this car back today, but I've done about 400 miles in it and I've had it for a week. So I feel like I've got under the skin of it. But anyway, it starts with no key, obviously, when you put it in your pocket. And it starts with quite a muted woofer. It's not the loudest thing. There is a button on the steering wheel, so you can make it a bit louder and it sounds awesome. But you've always got a V8 noise in the background. It's just reasonably subdued and mellow. It's a Mercedes, so you've got a column shifter, and let's go. Now, the thing that has sort of dominated my life with this car, certainly near where I live, lots of on-street parking, is the sheer size of it. It's as big as a BMW X5, but somehow feels longer when you're parking it, and there's no four-wheel steering. It's just a very big car, and there have been times where I've had to leave this miles from my house because I've not been able to find a parking space anywhere near me. So do bear that in mind. It is a huge thing. And obviously if you want to go bigger, there's the GLS, which is even sillier. But yeah, it's a big car and it's a wide car. It will have you wincing through width restrictors, but really it's no worse than something like a Range Rover. In fact, it's better than a Range Rover. But yeah, on country lanes, you just need to be slightly aware of where your wheels are. But anyway, other than that, it is actually very easy to drive. It's got big windows, big mirrors, it's easy to see out of. It's got 360-degree cameras, so actually you can check your wheels when you're parking if you can't use your mirrors and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been very relaxing. It's comfortable. I've just left it in comfort mode for most of the time because I'm doing lots of motorway miles. It's on air suspension. It does give you a pretty good ride. Over sharper bumps, like lines in the road, you will feel them and hear them, but it's not dramatic. It's not a big crash. I would say big heavy cars on air suspension like this do, I think, make you feel a bit more car sick than regular cars on steel springs. I drove this down to Gosport to see my brother the other day, and my other half, even though we were just doing gentle motorway miles, felt just a bit queasy, and I kind of did as well. My Touareg, which I used to have as a long-termer, that was on air suspension. That did the same thing. I think there's something about the oscillating motion of a heavy body on air springs when they're in a soft mode that can just make you feel a bit not quite right. Thank you, Mr. Ricardo. So yeah, that's just worth bearing in mind. It might not affect you, but it did me and my other half. But yeah, that's the boring stuff out of the way. I'm just going to do a very quick bit of dual carriageway to show you how quiet it is at motorway speeds, and then we're going to go and hoon it and try that 0 to 60 timer. It is nice as well, you've got a big ride height on this, so I have no problems going onto the verges to let people past. It can do proper off-roady stuff to a degree, so you're not going to be worried about scratching your alloys or paintwork. You can, yeah, as a man of a dog, I'm just going to go over here. He hates me because I'm in a big white Mercedes, but yeah, people do judge you in a big white Mercedes with a V8 badge on the front wing. Right, let's get to the dual carriageway. Right, I'm going from a 50 limit up to a 70 mile an hour limit, so motorway speeds here in the UK. I'm just going to leave it in comfort mode and move around this weirdly dawdling Mini in front of me, and then just boot it and get to 70 miles an hour. And there's another dawdling Mini. What is this? Day of the dawdling Minis? Yeah, come on everyone. Right, we're actually going to do 50 to 70 because we're doing 50. Right, that's 70 miles an hour. So yeah, this is absurdly fast at any speed, but it kind of encourages you to rev it out because it's got loads of low down shove. It's got 850 newton meters of torque from the engine alone, and then another 250 newton meters from the mild hybrid integrated starter generator thingamabob. So it's always got shove, but actually the engine revs to 7,000 RPM and it gets quicker and quicker in a kind of naturally aspirated sort of way, even though it's obviously very heavily turbocharged. So yeah, it's an exciting engine to use this, but now it shuffles up to 9th gear now that I'm doing 70 miles an hour, and it's very quiet in here. There's not any wind noise. There's a bit of tyre rumble because it has got the world's largest tyres, at least on the back axle. When you park it and look at the back, it's like bloody hell. It's got steamroller attachments. But yeah, I've done big distances in this. It's super comfortable. The sound system is obviously amazing, and you just waft along having a massage with your tunes going. And my daughter this morning says, "I love this car." And I said, "Why do you love this car?" And she said, "Because it's my favourite."
I said, why is it your favourite? And she said, because it has pretty windows. They're shiny. So yeah, that's what a 3-year-old thinks of this car. But anyway, enough of that. I'm going to get to my twisty roads, put it in Sport Plus mode, see how quickly it gets to 60, and see if it feels like it wants to kill you in the corners. That'd be fun. Let's go. Right, my twisty road's up ahead of me, but I've got my drag race mode. I'm in Sport Plus mode. There's no launch control because it's torque converter, so you just brake boost it, little bit of sideways from the back axle, and that is 60 miles an hour. And the car is telling me that I did that in 3.58 seconds, so 3.6 seconds. The book says it will do it in 3.8. That road was damp. I've done it on some other damp roads and it's still always faster than 3.8 seconds. It's an absurdly quick car. The Cayenne Turbo GT is faster still, but yeah, I think this sounds better. But anyway, in terms of the way this handles, in Sport Plus mode, the ride does get firmer. It's on massive 22-inch wheels, so it's going to suddenly become a little bit jiggly. But my God, this corner's flatter than it looks like it should, because it's got 48-volt active anti-roll bars that can stiffen up to reduce body roll in the corner. You can just go around corners almost like you're in a sports car. The brakes, they are good. They are good, but you will need to have faith in them, because 2.3 tons does some jiggling when you stop on a bumpy road like that. But you can attack corners and it does just grip and go. It doesn't feel as understeery as, say, an Audi SUV does, but it doesn't feel as leery as a Porsche. So you don't really get much power oversteer. You get some slight wiggling when you accelerate hard on a slippery road, but you can boot it out of the corner and it's not trying to do massive slip angles, which for me, as a normal person who isn't a helmsmith, I quite like that in my big family SUV. That Turbo GT, I felt like a bit of a knob going sideways, even in a straight line. So yeah, noise. One last thing to talk about driving this, the gearbox. It is perfectly fine if you leave it to its own devices. It can be a bit, like the throttle response can be a bit too instant away from a standstill. Don't know if that's got anything to do with the extra 20 horsepower of hybridness, but it can be a bit like, oh, I accelerated harder than I wanted to away from that traffic light, and everyone looks at you because you're making lots of noise. The gearbox also has 9 gears. If you want to use the paddles, you're basically stuffed. So if I put it in comfort mode, it will shuffle up to 9th gear. Say I want to use the paddles to go for an overtake, 5 clicks, and then oh no, more clicks. You have to click it a lot because it's got so many damn gears, and in comfort mode it can be a bit slow to change down. So basically I ignore the paddles, and if you want to kick down, just boot it, and it kicks down quicker using the accelerator. Anyway, that is more than enough waffle about how the Mercedes GLE 63S drives. Back to you, Tim, for an outro. I think you'll be impressed with this, future Tim. So after a week and 400 miles of living with the Mercedes AMG GLE 63 SE thing, what do I make of it? Well, for a start, obviously it's stupidly expensive, 120 grand basically for this one. It's very, very fast, it makes a great noise, but it does all the comfortable stuff and it kind of prioritizes comfort over anything else. You can still drive it quickly and it still grips really well, but hasn't got the stupidly playful side of a Porsche Cayenne necessarily, but I think that's probably what most people would be okay with. The interior is lovely, the tech is amazing. I wish it had Apple CarPlay that was wireless. I say that about nearly every car these days, but it feels very remiss on something this expensive. Obviously, it's very comfortable, it is beautifully made, and it kind of almost feels worth the money. It kind of does what a Bentley Bentayga does, slightly less plush inside, but for a lot less money. Other downsides, it's obviously ridiculously thirsty. If you're in stop-start traffic like I was the other day doing a school run in this car, 14 mpg, I've just put 30 quid's worth of fuel in this and it only gave me an extra 60 miles on the range readout. Yeah, you'll get 20 mpg on a run basically. So yeah, but if you want one, is a brilliant, brilliant, fast, comfortable family car. I would try and spec one in a slightly more muted, less gangster colour, but that's just me. But if you can afford one of these, probably go and get one, I would say. It's probably not a very popular thing to say because it is quite in your face, but there we go. Anyway, hopefully this has been a helpful review. I can't get my words out. If it has, hit like, because that really supports the channel. Also subscribe, because there's more of this nonsense coming soon. And if it's been awful, then, well, you know, like it and subscribe anyway, because life's too short not to. or something. Anyway, see you next time when I won't be in a lay-by with a big, white, pimping Mercedes. Well, actually I might be, because I'm reviewing the EQS electric saloon next, and that might be white, I'm not sure. Anyway, goodbye.